Anyone starting a new business will likely have a lot of things on their to-do list. Building your branding strategy as well as your sales and communication funnels requires a lot of time and effort. More and more, I see many of my clients putting building up a social media presence very up on their list. And while this can make a lot of sense sometimes, that is not always the case. Let's look at the 7 questions you should be asking yourself before even opening a social media account. Hi everyone, my name is Alonso and I'm a branding and strategy consultant focusing on creative and passion-driven businesses. Today we're talking social media. In the first session with a new customer or a mentee, I always try to firstly understand what are the current challenges and what is their priority. What is the main problem that you're trying to solve that has led you to look for help? And I'm realizing more and more people have as their main priority to build up a social media presence. Every time one of my customers tells me that their main goal is to build up a social media presence, I internally tend to cringe a little bit. Don't get me wrong, social media is a fantastic tool that can really help your business in many different ways. However, I always say I do not believe in one-size-fits-all strategies, and well, for certain niches and products, an early start on social media is a very good idea. For many others, this will only mean that you will be spending several hours every day on these channels and see very little results out of it. As a new business, there is something that I really need you to understand. Your resources are limited and they are precious. And your time is the most precious resource you have. A lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of thinking that if it doesn't cost you money, it's free. And if it's free, it must be a good investment, right? Wrong. This is very wrong. Just because something is not going to cost you money in terms of currency, that doesn't mean it's free. If you're trying to grow your following in Instagram, for example, you're gonna have to spend hours researching and creating content, interacting with potential customers and similar accounts. Your effort and your time are not free. They're extremely valuable, and you should invest them on the tasks that are more likely to bring you positive financial results. To make sure that social media will indeed lead to a positive financial benefit, it is very important that you have a clear intention, direction, and path. Today, I'm going to give you 7 questions you should be able to answer before even opening the social media accounts for your business. Very important, these questions are ordered by priority. You need to be able to answer the first one in order to move on to the next. If you're not able to confidently answer the previous question, this probably needs you have some more thinking to do. Okay, let's get to it. And we start with why. The first question you need to ask yourself is, why do you want to establish your social media presence? Why is it a priority for you at this particular moment? What are you hoping to accomplish through this? For some businesses, social media can be a storefront of sorts. You have certain brands, freelancers, artists, even personal coaches, etc. that choose to sell their products directly through social media. You can put a picture, the customer can DM you, and then you can just arrange the conditions through a casual conversation. For others, it can be a supporting sales channel with shoppable posts that direct you to an e-commerce shop, or having a direct communication channel with your appointment desk. Or certain businesses might use social media rather as a way of growing and nurturing a community that can be interested in the lifestyle or in the concept that your brand revolves around. There are many perfectly valid reasons for starting a social media presence, but you need to make sure to be clear on what is yours, because all the different points that you're gonna have to figure out will depend on this. Some examples of things you could want to accomplish with your social media strategy could be, for example, awareness. You want people to know you exist. Reputation. You want people to associate your brand with a series of values. Loyalty. You want people to stay connected with your brand after you've done a sale. Sales leads. You want to generate the interest of buying through social media. Sales conversions, you want to convince the customer to buy through your social media channels. Contact, you want to be able to communicate with the customer via social media. Or community, you want to build a platform where your audience or your customers can interact with each other. Now, these are just some examples. You can probably come up with 15 or 20 more reasons, but something you should consider. If when you read this, you're thinking to yourself, well, I want to achieve all of this, you have some work to do. You should prioritize what is more important, because for every of these things that you might want to achieve, the ideal path is different. Second question is how. Now that you know what you're trying to achieve, it's very important that you understand the way on which social media is going to be able to help you achieve that. For example, let's say that you want to build brand reputation. There is many ways that you can do this. You can create educational content, you can have collaborations with established accounts, you can even link your talent professional profiles to your brand professional profiles and immediately elevate the value of the brand. But the way that you're going to choose to do this will closely be related to your activity and your priorities, as well as the profile of your customer, which leads us to the next point. Point number 3, for whom? If you're thinking about starting to put time and effort in social media, I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that you already have a very clear customer persona profile. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to link here for you the video that we did talking about customer personas, and I will recommend you to pause this video now, go watch that one, and then resume. Your customer persona profile will be super helpful when trying to figure out the best strategy for social media channels, since it will allow you to understand the personality and behavior of your target audience and customer. This becomes even more important if you're planning on investing money in sponsored ads. Ask anyone working with Facebook or Instagram ads and they will tell you targeting is everything. You simply cannot do a proper targeting if you do not know who your customer is. Number 4, where? So now that you know what are you trying to achieve and whom are you trying to attract, you should be able to decide which social media platforms are you going to use. There are so many social media platforms and they're all somewhat different to each other. The ideal content is different, their audience is slightly different, best practice strategies are also different. Once again, here is very important that you visualize the time and resources that you have at hand and to make sure that you do not bite more than you can chew. Prioritize those platforms where your customer spends more time and where the information that you're trying to put out is more likely to be well received. But as well, choose the platforms where you can play to your strengths. Are you great with words? Forget about Instagram at first and spend your time in platforms where people are actually expecting to read. Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, even Facebook. And although not strictly social media, it's probably a very good idea to start by curating a blog. If you, on the other hand, you're very visually oriented, platforms like Instagram or Pinterest are great to share images, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram TV for videos. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, why can't I just not take the same thing and share it across all platforms? Well, of course you have, but on one hand, to have an optimized impact, you're probably gonna have to edit a few things like formats and captions, and it will still require an increased amount of time to publish everything across all platforms and then reply to every possible comment or retweet or DM. I'll still recommend streamlining your efforts. Okay, number 5, what? There is so many different types of content out there. So many approaches to communication and interaction with the customer. If you want to make sure that your social media is helping you build a strong branding, it pays off to have a really thought out content strategy. The publications need to be engaging enough that your customer will notice you and have a clear enough point of view that they understand what you're trying to tell them. Now, whether you should invest your time and effort in researching to write articles or doing a photo shoot or designing an infographic will depend a lot on all of the points that we have talked about thus far. Number 6, when. This point is super important. Social media platforms are constantly updating their algorithms to try and make sure that the content they show you is super interesting to you because they want you to spend as much time as possible glued to your phone and ignoring the rest of your life. Now, The way that, say, Instagram knows that a picture is a cool one, it's based on the interactions that this particular post gets in the few minutes right after it's been published. If someone posts a picture and within a few minutes this picture has a lot of likes and comments and gets saved, then Instagram marks that as very interesting and gives it priority on everybody's feed. But here's the thing. This means that if you want to make sure that your customer sees your post, not only do they have to be interesting, but you also need to time them so that they are on their phones when you publish it. If when you publish them they're sleeping, or they're on a meeting, or they're driving, they will not be able to see it. They will not be able to interact, and Instagram will bring it down. So making sure you time your publications to the time where there is more traffic to the social media of your choice is critical. Normally, commute and lunch times, as well as evenings and early mornings, are high traffic times. However, this depends a lot on the lifestyle of your customer, as well as where are they located, because time zones can screw up your whole strategy. In fact, if you have more than one single primary time zone, for example, let's say that you're trying to market to US and UK at the same time, I will highly recommend that you have social media accounts for each of these markets. Point number 7, who? Who refers to the identity behind these social media profiles. And we're going to talk about this identity from 3 perspectives: voice, ownership, and management. The first one is voice. Who is talking to the customer? We talked about voice on the episodes where we went through the brand profile. I'll link it up here for you guys. The voice is basically the personification of your brand. How this personification talks to the customer. Is it your own identity that is talking to the customer? Is it the distance narrator? Or perhaps there is a different narrator to every post. The second who is ownership. Who is creating this content? Now, a lot of people, when they start, they really want all content to be 100% original. This is great, but you also need to understand this is going to require exponentially more time and effort. And it's not really 100% necessary. Now, don't get me wrong, you should never steal somebody's content, but this doesn't necessarily mean you need to create it all either. You can very well create a brand through curated content, meaning you research and find interesting and relevant content and you share it by crediting, of course. The third who is about management. Who is going to be behind the scenes in the social media accounts, clicking the publish button, replying to the comments, replying to the DMs, etc. And these 3 who's could all be different. You could have a social media where the voice is your own, but the content is reshared and the management is being done by a community manager or a VA. Once you know why, how, to whom, where, what, when, and who, you probably will have a crystal clear idea on how your social media strategy is going to look like and what steps you should be taking to make the most of it. On the other hand, you might just realize that you're not ready and decide to take these 2-3 hours a day and dedicate them to something different. In any case, I hope you found this video useful. If you would like us to go deeper in any of the points, please let me know. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you very soon. Bye!